Good morning, everybody. My name is Pranav, a legal intern at Lexis and Company for the month of June. And today, I will be discussing about who is a workman under the Industrial Disputes Act of 1947. The definition of workman is important because the Act aims at investigation and settlement of industrial dispute, which implies a difference between employer and workman. Workman means any person, including an apprentice, employed in any industry to do manual, unskilled, skilled, technical, operation, clerical, or supervisory work for hire or reward, whether the terms of his employment be express or implied, and for the purposes of any proceeding under this Act in relation to an industrial dispute, which includes any such person who has been dismissed, discharged, or retrenched in connection with or as a consequence of that dispute, or whose dismissal, discharge, or retrenchment has led to that dispute. Workman does not include any such person who is subject to the Air Force Act 1950 or the Army Act 1950 or the Navy Act 1957 or, or who is employed in the police service or as an officer or other employee of a prison or who is employed mainly in a managerial or administrative capacity or who being employed in a supervisory capacity draws wages exceeding 10,000 rupees per mensem or exercises either by nature of his duties attached to the office or by reason of powers vested in him his functions mainly of a managerial nature. The expression employed used in definition has two connotations. It is used in the sense of a relationship brought about by express or implied contract of service in which the employee renders services for which he is engaged by the employer, and the latter agrees to pay him in cash or kind as agreed between them or statutorily prescribed. It discloses a relationship of command and obedience. There should be an employment of his by the employer, and then there should be a relationship between the employer and him, as between employer and employee or master and servant. Thus, where a contractor employs a workman to do a work which he contracted with a third person to accomplish, the workman of the contractor would not, without something more, become a workman of that third person. In Bihar State Road Transport Corporation was the state of Bihar. A person was appointed as head clerk in the office of divisional manager, and there was no evidence that he was doing managerial or supervisory work. His conditions of service were governed by the standing orders of the Rajya Transport. He was held to be a workman. In Punjab National Bank versus Ghulam Dastagir, it was held that the driver was not employed by the bank and was not a workman within Section 2S of the Act. In Venkataraman versus Labour Court, the Kerala High Court held that a teacher in high school was not a workman. An employee who is employed in supervisory or administrative capacity. In Anand Regional Cooperative Oilseed Growers Union Limited versus Sailesh Kumar, the respondent was working as an assistant executive in the quality control department of the appellant cooperative, was charged with the misconduct and dismissed from service. The Labour Court to which the dispute arising from his dismissal was referred, as well as the High Court, held that the punishment excessive and directed his reinstatement with 25% wages. Hence, this appeal to the Supreme Court has been made. The relevant question was whether the respondent was a workman under Section 2S of the Act or not. It was held that the person who was employed in supervisory capacity, Supervision contemplates direction and control. In another case, that is the Indian Bank Association versus Workmen of Syndicate Bank and other, it was held that the deposit collectors of banks were workmen and commission received by them were wages. The masters and servant relation existed between deposit collectors and the concerned bank. In management of Otis Elevator Company India versus presiding officer, Industrial Tribunal, and another. Respondent number 2 was offered to join as a field and trainee in the petitioner's organization on June 1, 1987. In August 1988, respondent number 2 was informed that the petitioner had decided to discontinue his contract of training with immediate effect from 31st August 1988. He was paid some stipend during his training period. It was held by the High Court that the respondent was not a workman of the company, as the purpose of the engagement of his petitioner was only to offer him training under the terms and conditions stipulated in his contract of training. What is the difference between a workman and an independent contractor? For any person to be a workman, it is necessary that he should be in the employment of the employer. Merely a contract to do some work is not enough. Unless a relationship of master and servant, which is implied in the term employed, is admitted or established, the person concerned is no workman. In the Rangdra Chemical Works Limited versus State of Saurashtra and others, the following principles were laid down by the Supreme Court. For a person to be a workman, it is necessary that he should be employed in an industry and there should be a relationship of employer and employee. The test to determine employer-employee relationship is the existence of the right in the master to supervise and control the work done by the servant, not only in directing what work the servant is to do, but also the manner in which he shall do the work. As regards the fact that the Agiharas did piecework, the court observed that a person can be a workman even though he is paid not per day but per job. The test is whether the employer retained the right of controlling the work, and it makes no difference whether the man was employed on a daily wage or paid by the job. The fact that Agiharas were entitled to engage other persons to do work was not a conclusive proof of the fact that they were independent contractors. The broad distinction between workmen and an independent contractor lies in this that while the former agrees to do the work himself, the latter agrees to get the other persons to do it. If a person agrees himself to do the work and does the work, he is a workman, and does not cease to be a workman merely because he gets other persons to work along with him, and those persons are controlled and paid by him. In J.K. Cotton Spinning and Weaving Mills Company Limited versus Labour Appellate Tribunal of India, the mill provided to its officers, under terms of the contract, the bungalows with attached gardens in the colony of the mills, and some Malis were employed by the mill to look after these gardens. The conditions of service of Malis were determined by the mill. The work was supervised and controlled also by the mill. Payment was also made by the mill. The Supreme Court held that Malis must be engaged in operations which are incidentally connected with the main industry and carried on by the mills, and are therefore workmen within the meaning of Section 2S of the Act. Now, finally, who is a Badli workman? Badli workman means a workman who is employed in an industrial establishment in the place of another workman whose name is borne on the muster mills of the establishment but ceases to be regarded as Badli workman if he has completed 1 year of continuous service in the establishment. At present, workmen whose services has been discharged, dismissed, retrenched or otherwise terminated under Section 2A of the Industrial Disputes Act 1947 is unable to approach the Labour Court or Tribunal in the absence of a reference of industrial dispute by the appropriate government to the Labour Court of Tribunal. In view of the above, it was necessary to provide a workman a direct access to Labour Court or Tribunal in cases of disputes arising due to discharge, dismissal, retrenchment, or termination of service of workmen. Therefore, the present Amendment Act of 2010 established a grievance redressal machinery as an in-house mechanism in an industrial establishment with 20 or more workmen without affecting the right of workmen to raise an industrial dispute on the same matter under the provisions of the Act. With this, I come to the end for today's topic. Thank you.